Last week, CPAC, which is the Conservative Political Action Committee, hosted their very first Women Warriors Summit. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. I have 2 videos to show you, but first let's do a little background on what this Women Warriors Summit is. Here's what they said on their website. At a pivotal moment for our nation, strong, principled women are stepping forward to lead, and CPAC is proud to provide a platform to unite and empower them. On May 20th to 21st in Washington, D.C., CPAC will host the inaugural Women Warriors Summit, a first-of-its-kind gathering dedicated to equipping and elevating women who are shaping the future of our country through leadership, advocacy, and action. Kind of a ridiculous focus for a summit from a party that is actively trying to strip women of their rights, but, you know, hypocrisy is the point with Republicans. Now, the only thing I agree with about this summit is the name Women Warriors Summit, because it does require women to be warriors to make it through the current administration. I want to keep this video relatively brief today, but I'm going to provide commentary on these 2 clips that I'm going to show you right now.
I am in DC because you have a very special event, Women's Warriors, first inaugural one, CPAC. Talk to us about what is happening. I'm so honored to be a part of this because I look at faith, family, and the future for what our country means and what it can be. And I think we're going to hit on some big topics.
And the role of women in these elections, in policy, in faith, in these discussions on culture and society.
Anytime people on the right bring up the role of women, it just gives me Nazi vibes. Because the role of women in elections is the same as the role of men. It is getting out there and voting. It is volunteering. It is taking part in a civic process that is open to everyone. And you know who else talked a lot about the women's role in the party? Conservatives love to always parse apart men's roles and women's roles. It's part of what's called complementarianism. It's something that's very popular among conservative Christians, and it's something that we hear them talk about a lot. Whether or not you've heard of the term complementarianism or not, you have definitely seen it in action. It basically is this idea, this framework that men and women should be equal in terms of value, but they bring different things to the table. They have these divinely ordained roles. It's the whole God made men to be masculine and work outside the home and made women to be emotional and soft and raise the children. The splitting off of women's roles is just another way to diminish the things that women do.
Every time I've met grassroots activists throughout the country and even throughout the world, it's, talking to these women.
What women you have, I'm going to put it up.
Yes, but it's like the major concerns that they're dealing with, right? How do you deal with balancing being a mother and working?
How do you deal with balancing being a mother and working? That is an issue a lot of people deal with. And you know why that's an issue a lot of people deal with? Because of conservatives like yourself. You know what would make it easier for women to balance motherhood and working? Accessible prenatal care, paid parental leave, universal child care, universal health care, free public transportation, living wages. All things that Republican lawmakers fight adamantly against.
How do you deal with these issues of your child being completely stressed out because we're living in this social media society?
Yes, social media can have a negative impact on children's health, but it is not the primary stressor for kids. Studies have shown that that is not what is causing them the most anxiety. So yes, it is absolutely worthwhile to talk about, but it's also important to remember that Republicans are the ones who constantly let big tech off the hook.
How is the world changing when it comes to dealing with these issues of gas prices?
How is the world dealing with the issues of gas prices? Babe, the gas prices are unaffordable because your hero, Donald Trump, decided to start an unbelievably stupid war in Iran. So yeah, go ahead and talk about it at your Women Warriors Summit, but I guarantee you're not going to talk about the real cause of the higher gas prices.
Affordability, AI, these are all conversations we're going to have.
Affordability and AI. Donald Trump said that he was going to deal with affordability on day 1, right? I mean, he also said he was going to start no new wars, so we all know he's just the most honest guy out there. Inflation is at a 3-year high. Prices are rising so quickly. Americans are saving at the lowest rate in nearly 4 years. And a lot of people are spending more than the income they have coming in, which means people are burning through their savings. But I'm sure you're going to address all of that at the Women Warriors Summit, right? And then you want to talk about AI, which has become increasingly embraced by Republicans. And Democrats have become more skeptical of AI and AI companies.
Because at the end of the day, it's the women, the women dealing with these kitchen table issues.
It's the women dealing with these kitchen table issues. Okay. Okay, once again, we are parsing apart the roles of men and women when it comes to politics, because men need to be dealing with these kitchen table issues as well. They're pushing this idea that like women run the household so that men can look at the big picture stuff, as though all of these issues are not interconnected and affect our everyday lives.
And the fact that we have to win these elections.
Incredible. We do. And Harmeet Dillon, we'll have much more on this. I'm honored to be a part of this.
Okay, next we're going to watch a video from the summit itself with everyone's favorite influencer, Isabel Brown. If you're trying to place where you know Isabel Brown from, she's famous for this clip from the full CPAC conference.
If you are not speaking with your family around the dinner table about these issues every day, it is high time to start. If you're not encouraging your children to grow up and have the courage to get married and have kids, more kids than they can afford before they think they're ready, it is high time to start.
Here's part of her conversation that she had during the Women Warriors Summit.
I do want to ask you one question. I think one of the other issues that we're seeing is this issue of, yeah, we want to have a bunch of kids. And don't get me wrong, I have 5 daughters. 3 of them are back there. Hi, ladies. And one of the things that I think we try to do, at least in our family, is to get them involved early in the work. And I would say the work and the passion of CPAC, and knowing that it is important for them to learn about these political issues and these policy issues. But this issue of affordability, which we're going to address a little bit later with some experts in the area, I mean, that's something that's also something driving, I think, like the concern of mothers. Like, how do they pay for having a big family?
Let's just pause for a quick second and notice that the question she's asking is, how do mothers deal with the affordability crisis? Especially people who want to have more kids, who would like to have a big family but can't afford it, and don't necessarily want to take Isabel Brown up on her tip to just have more kids than you can afford.
Absolutely. Housing being just one tiny part of that. I read this week that for the very first time in American history, there are more than 630,000 sellers on the market who are not expected to have a buyer for their home. So there are more than 500,000 houses just sitting on the market today in our country that young families can't afford to purchase because of this continued problem of affordability that we've been having. I know the House just passed a very, very important bill at the request of President Trump this week to ban large corporations, multinational corporations like Blackstone and BlackRock from purchasing single-family homes. Hugely important. I wonder if it'll get a lot of traction in the Senate, but I think largely this concern about affordability and maybe frustration that you're seeing in a lot of the approval ratings for the administration, for Congress, and just conservatism in general among young people is getting skewed by the media as a sign that young people are leaving conservatism, that it was a short little blip on the radar, the Charlie Kirk effect for the last presidential election, and now they're going to sprint back to socialism and the Zohran Mamdanis of the world. In reality, what I'm hearing on social media, mostly from young men.
Yes, what I'm hearing on social media, that's where we get our most accurate information from.
Is that they're frustrated Washington hasn't been conservative enough. They want to defund Planned Parenthood. They want mass deportations. They are not in favor of mass amnesty. They want to have a job themselves.
Okay. They always bring it back to the issues that they think young men care about. Because this is the Women Warriors Summit, but once again, they're talking about young men. That's who their party prioritizes. That is who they want to get their messaging out to. Because you know who really loves these conservative Barbie influencers? Conservative men. You'll notice that she didn't answer the question about affordability at all, right? She's going to spin to something else now. She's going to pivot because they don't have an answer to affordability. They cannot answer the question of how do we deal with the affordability crisis because they're not actually doing anything to fix it.
And it's really demoralizing and frustrating, I think, when members of this body, of the House of Representatives, even from the Republican side, are introducing mass amnesty bills for 10 million illegal immigrants when there also happen to be, coincidentally, 10 million unemployed Gen Zers today in our country who are desperate for a job.
Yes, you did clock that correctly. She just blamed the affordability crisis on undocumented immigrants. I will give it to Isabel Brown. She is a master of spin. She just said, oh, you're going to ask me a question about affordability. I'm going to talk about how young men want to be more conservative and how we can blame immigrants for the affordability crisis.
That being the job issue being a big issue on the Gen Z side
Absolutely.
as well. All right, I want to open this up for questions.
I'm not saying that the job market is good by any means. It is the worst it's been in a very long time, especially for entry-level jobs. But immigrants are not the reason that the job market is struggling. Companies are struggling to make ends meet, so they aren't hiring people. AI is starting to take over a lot of different jobs that would have provided entry-level options for people. We've seen industry consolidation and associated layoffs. We have private equity owning all these companies that they don't truly understand and cutting corners everywhere. And we also have a broken job ladder, which means that people who find entry-level jobs are not being promoted. They are not going up the career ladder at all. They're getting stuck at these entry-level jobs. And since they're not moving up, then there's no space for new people to come into those entry-level jobs. The job market is the worst it has been in a very long time, but it is not the fault of immigrants. The right loves to talk about how undocumented migrants are coming in to steal your jobs. And the data just does not support that. That is not what's happening. The truth is that the GOP has the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and these lawmakers are not doing anything to support Americans when it comes to affordability. So MAGA mouthpieces like Isabel Brown have to become masters of spin because they can't answer the questions that they're being asked. They have to find other places to lay the blame than their own party. Because there's a disconnect between the GOP voting base and the MAGA politicians. Republican voters are feeling it. They are feeling the affordability crisis. They are feeling the higher prices. They are seeing their bank accounts dwindling. They're seeing the gas prices rising. Their elected officials don't care. They just don't care. And they're not doing anything to try to change it. Take it from the president himself.
I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody.
Okay, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. I'm Ileana. If you're new here, I cover the intersection of politics and parenting. And if you like this kind of content, please subscribe, follow. I'm on every social media platform as @IleanaJustine, and I'm so glad you're here. Thank you again for watching. See you next time.